हरे कृष्णा। श्री श्री राधा माधव अष्ट सखी की जय। पंचतत्व भगवान की जय। नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। Firstly, I thank all the Japa leads, devotees who came and performed their Japa. And today it was the turn of
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama.
okay. It was the turn of Adi Sacimata. She's been summoned by the school, and I'm taking this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. We do it with a short kirtan and we move on to the subject. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Gandharvika Giridhari Gandharvika Giridhari Gaurari Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantade Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantade Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada की जय पतित पावन गुरुदेव की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 17, titled Punishment and Reward of Kali. We are in the 13th verse. Akyahi vrishabhadram va sadhunamakritagasam atmavairupya kartaram parthanam kritidoshanam. Akyahi vrishabhadram va sadhunamakritagasam atmavairupya kartaram parthanam kritidoshanam. Word-to-word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish you all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations which blackmail the reputation of the son of Pritha. Perpetrator. Okay. Now the purport. It's a small one. We'll read it. The reputation of reign of Maharaj Ramachandra and that of the kings who followed in the footsteps of Maharaj Ramachandra, like the Pandavas and their descendants, are never to be forgotten because in their kingdom, offenseless and honest beings were never in trouble. The bull and the cow are symbols of most offenseless living beings. Because even their stool and urine of these animals are utilized for the benefit of human society. Okay, so these descendants of son of Pratha, like Maharaj Parikshit, were afraid of losing their reputation. But in the modern days, the leaders are not even afraid of killing such offenseless animals. Herein lies the difference between the reign of those pious kings and modern rules, modern states ruled by irresponsible executive heads without knowledge of the courts of God. Wonderful purport and a nice sloka. Just a moment. We will start the short discussion. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं विष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण अक्या हि वृषभद्रं वा साधूनाम कृतागसम् आत्मवैरूप्यकर्तारं पार्थानां प्रतिदूषणम्. O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish you all good. Please tell me of the perpetrator of those mutilations and which blackmail the reputations of son of Pratha. Hare Krishna. Before I start, I seek prayers of all the Vaishnavas here so that I'm taking this as a seva and whatever I share is in the lines of the parampara. And again, I take it as an opportunity because the person scheduled could not come in today as she's been summoned to the school very early. Okay, so before we go into today's verse, um, we all are aware, we all know that the moment we start the bhakti process, this is such a wonderful parampara, and in this parampara, the moment you start the bhakti process, what are the two things which you are assured of? Shubhada and Kleshagni. Relief from material desires, Kleshagni and Shubhada, auspiciousness. Okay, which means when we start, please note, I have told when we start, right at the onset of the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti itself, we are guaranteed these two things. I'm not telling it's after a long practice, right at the beginning. How wonderful is this entire process, right? So, if at all anybody is really still saying I'm experiencing dukkha, it clearly means they have not crossed the three modes of material nature, right? They have not transcended the three modes, right? That is the primary reason we are unable to enjoy bliss. Now, uh, there are two verses in the 10th canto, okay, which talks about Ravindra Ksha Vimukta Maninas Tvya Asta Bhavat Avishuddha Buddhaya. I'll just explain that I'm sure it talks about how a devotee and a non-devotee is being protected from their fall down. Okay. So when the question was asked, uh, somebody who is always seeking shelter of Lord's for lotus feet, there are non-devotees, but what happens? Do they attain salvation? Brahma to the other demigods, he was saying, "O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances," please note it's severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position, may think themselves liberated. Their intelligence is impure. See what's the last line says in the translation. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for the lotus feet. Okay, to your lotus feet. That is the Lord's lotus feet, which means it's in general explaining those devotees who are not appreciative of the lotus feet or who do not take shelter of the lotus feet, they're destroyed. They are rejected. There is no shelter because they have no regard for the lotus feet of the Lord. The very next verse, Tata neta madava tava tava kaha kaschit brashyanti margatva baddha shaudraha. That is, it says, if the devotee is completely in love with the Supreme, okay, Lord, you fall down from the path of devotion. They do not fall like non-devotees. Why? Because your Gada keeps protecting you. That means if for a non-devotees, they're still protected. Thus, they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. How very wonderful, right? So, which means to say, how clearly it says here, saying anybody who comes into bhakti, anybody who comes into this. Okay, first let's see why we try to come into bhakti. I'm talking of the general people. They want to come in saying some sukh chahiye, or we want some peace. That's how they look, right? Look at the arrangement the Lord is making. The moment he comes into Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, he gives them these two things. It's like when you get into a training. I attend a lot of trainings. The moment you go into a training, they give you a bag full of goodie bags, uh, some based on the season. Sometimes umbrella, some pen, notebook, all that you give. That is assured. Whether we sit in the training here and utilize the training is secondary. Same way, this is assured in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Nama Sankirtan hai sarvatra nasha. Okay, one can be freed from all undesirable habits, and then Sarva Shubhodaya Krishna Premera Ullasa. That is, this means awakening of all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love of Krishna. So beautiful, right? So, Bhakta, if he thinks for a Bhakta, even if there is some difficulty, for that also is a sukha for him. Okay, but those devotees who feel there is a lot of dukkha even after practicing the devotional service is purely because of the anarthas, right? This will slowly go. I mean, that also is assured. Okay, so if we saw in the last chapter, 16th chapter, many other chapters before that, there are devotees who feel a deep separation. It was Arjuna, Yudhishthira. Then we saw this very previous chapter itself, mother cow asking, bull. Everybody was lamenting, and they were, why, when they asked, they were saying feeling the separation of Krishna leaving them, right? So actually, this is also not the dukkha which we actually feel in the material world. That is also more like a sukha for them. That feeling of separation also they are actually enjoying, because the Lord says the Lord, I will never keep my pure devotees in too much of distress. Okay. With this small introduction of what happens when we actually hear Bhagavatam, we'll go into today's verse. Right. In the purport, it was clearly, it started by telling reign of Ramachandra, and then their descendants, they will be never forgotten, because in their kingdom, offenseless and honest living beings were never in trouble. Okay. So it's a king's duty to protect the followers and to see that everything is fine in their life. That is what our Gurudev always says, right? Be happy devotees. Apart from, many other things he says is become happy devotees. Actually, a devotee should be happy, and only then he can be a best preacher, right? If the preacher is not happy, how will we have a temple full of or a center full of happy devotees? That is why sometimes when the best answer I feel is when somebody asks, how are you? It probably ideal to say happily struggling. It is a struggle. We are in Dukkalaya. There's nothing we need to, hide about. But we're still happily doing things. Anandham Buddhi Vardhanam. Okay. Anyway, Parikshit Maharaj could never bear the fact that the bull and the cow is struggling, right? As he is the leader, he could not digest the dissatisfaction of his praja. What is the leader's duty? It's to give shelter to all his praja, not to exploit their weaknesses the way it's happening now, right? So we saw, in the last few verses, we discussed quite a lot of cow regarding bull, Kalipurusha, and other things. And even in this verse, if you see, apart from what the line which I read now, because in his kingdom, honest living will never be in trouble. And it goes on to say, Prabhupada goes on to say, the bull and the cow are the symbols of most offenseless living beings, creates them as the topmost this one. And why gives a reason also, because the stool and urine of these animals are utilized to the benefit of human society, right? We all know how well we utilize the cow dung, and urine is also, we don't even call it urine, we call it the in Tamil, I know it.
Gomutra. Gomutra.
That way we say go mutra. So that is the way we kind of give respect. But since most of the discussions have been on this today, I have chosen two words in this particular verse. If you see, it says sadhunam akritagasam. What is akritagasam? And the last line, parthanam kriti doshanam. We'll just focus on these two words because there's a lots to churn from these. Okay. So first we'll go to we'll see what is akritagasam. For those who are offenseless, as they are always protected by the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Person. And when one commit offenses, they go out of the protection of the Supreme Lord. Okay, we'll discuss this how to stay protected by the Lord and not commit any offenses, right? So, I know our leader always says, Mathurapati Prabhu says, focus on the solution, right? But here today, we need to know first what is the effect of this offense. Only then we can even go to the solution. So before that, we'll also see what is kriti dushanam. It says, right, parthanam kriti dushanam. We have the here Prabhupada calls it as blackmailing the reputation. So what is the reputation we can damage? We have in a wonderful parampara. We are representing a this Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, our Guru parampara, representing, right? And obviously, our behavior should be the topmost. That is why we all had to go through Sadachar course, right? Now, either we represent Krishna, the Guru Parampara, or we represent Kali. So we need to decide whom we need to represent. Srila Prabhupada used to say, just having kanti, tilak, and a bead bag doesn't mean you are representative. You need to act like one, right? We need to represent this rich parampara. We are always under magnifying glass because they'll say, Arey, tum ISKCON se ho, you are behaving like that. Huh? So we need to know we are always representing, we are grandchildren of Srila Prabhupada, children of Srila Gurudev. So we need to respect Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual master, not just spiritual master, all the spiritual masters, because we are technically their representative. We need to be careful all the time. Because a perfect Shishya, a perfect disciple is known by the respect he gives towards the spiritual master. Okay. In fact, if he gets a small black mark by any of his behavior, I don't know, most powerful soap or detergent also can't clean it. Right. So that is where the Kirti Darshanam, our responsibility is we have to be aware everywhere we are, whether we are in the the out external dhoti kurta or not, we are representing our Guru Parampara. Okay. Now we going back to this Akrita Gasam. So of course, many scriptures mentions the point not to criticize Vaishnava, right? In fact, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only told two things: just stand 16 rounds, right? Just chant the holy name and don't criticize Vaishnavas. That way, you'll ensure you going back home, back to God, right? We cannot say that, oh, if I am staying with Vaishnavas, only there's a problem, right? I don't need, I'll stay away from Bhakta Sangha. I'll not offend anyone. Better to be away, Baba. Otherwise, don't mingle with anyone, don't participate in anything. Okay, that is a very bad option. No, the antidote for our problems itself is staying in the association of devotees, right? In fact, I had heard in a lecture that Kadamba Swami Maharaj, you all know, known for his amazing Kirtaniya, right? He had written a book, Forever Present. Though in that he says it's his own realization. Association of devotee, he was saying that he thought it was required or necessary only for inspiration. But he says later on I realized association of devotees is required for our purification also. So it's important to understand the gravity of what's going to happen when we criticize devotees. When we do this, when we should do this, when we should not. Obviously, by giving two options, you must be thinking, why is this is giving an option when we should do? No, there are some occasions we can. We'll see what it is. Chaitanya Bhagavat now clearly says Chaitanya Sadhu Ninda. If you want to attain the lotus feet of Lord, we should not do Ninda, offense, right? And there it says, there is a word used, Bhagyashali, lucky devotee, who does not offend. Why? They are known to benefit, because what is the only benefit if you do Ninda? You collect lots and lots of papa. That's your only asset you will have. So Sadhu Aparat gets them only harm and there is no benefit. Now, little bit we'll focus on what is an offense. Every time we're talking about this, we need to know, understand. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur clarifies this by saying, he classifies four categories of living entities. One, Samanya Jeev, that is what ordinary living entities. Okay, what are we supposed to do with them? Dharmik Jeev, religious living entities, and then this Brahman Vaishnav Jeev, that is, they're almost Vaishnavas because they're coming to the temple, they're favorable, everything. They're not chanting. Okay, all that's why I said almost Vaishnavas. And the fourth category, Vaishnavas, those who are Vaishnavas, what should be done? Now, remember there are four. First, I said ordinary living, Samanya. We are supposed to, as Krishna is present in them, right? We all know, we all have read the 15th chapter. Is there in Sarva, everybody's heart. So we are supposed to give them respect, right? Now, uh, here it says only respect. Now look at the second one, dharmic jeev. What are we supposed to do? We need to do more respect than the samani jeev, okay? Because they are dharmic, they understand some religious principles. Now, what is the third category we talked about? Brahman and Vaishnav jeev. They are almost Vaishnavas. Now look at this, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. We have to specially honor them. This is the category we need to do. It's a special honor. We have not yet come to Vaishnavas. Look at these three things. First is respect, give more respect, and then honor. Now, last category, which I was explaining, is Vaishnavas. They are supposed to be worshipped. In the sense, they're worshipable. Okay. And he adds saying we need to serve their lotus feet. Okay. Now, interestingly, if we commit an offense in the first three categories, that is Samanya Jeev, Dharmic Jeev, and Brahman Jeev, it is accounted as Papa, which means we all know that typically the gross body, it affects what? It affects the gross body, subtle body. Okay. Now, however, see what happens when an offense is committed to Vaishnavas. It's a direct aparad. And what happens? I want to read the exact line. It says, it specially affects the jiva's quest to establish himself in his constitutional position or as a pure devote, pure spirit soul. Okay, and causing him fall down from his path, which means what does it do? It specifically affects the jiva's quest for establishing himself. That is, imagine, it just takes away your desire to obtain Krishna prema, right? Again, it does not end there. Okay. Vaishnavas, there are three categories: Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, Adhikari, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained this in Chaitanya Bhagavat. That is what is written by the devotees. In that particular, I'm sure you all have heard from Kulyagram, somebody comes and asks him every year, who is Vaishnava? The first year when they ask, Mahaprabhu says, even once they chant, they are Vaishnava. The second year, they ask, when they ask the same question, Mahaprabhu replies that a person who always takes Krishna's name is a Vaishnava. And third year, when they came and asked, and then Mahaprabhu says, when you see these bhaktas, and when you see them and when you see anybody, and if you are remembering Krishna, then they are Vaishnavas. So, which means all three categories, we need to know what is the effect. All right. Also, very important point. We should not look at any defects of a Vaishnava in these categories. Right. Right. Like, say, for example, sometimes they have some, what was he? Are, ye Vaishnav, to I know him from college days. I know what all he was. I have gone along. I mean, these kind of past we should never find. It's not a fault. We cannot quote his past, right? And we should never, sometimes because of this vasanas, some of the vasanas will be still there, right? Not fully gone. We should never look at those in devotees. Sometimes it just appears, right? Because of this, right? So due to this first two lines which I said, first and second one, these faults may sometimes come out because these habits are being going on from millions and millions of ages, right? So that we should never meditate on those mistakes. So these three faults, whoever sees or with a very bad or a slanderous intent, not with good heart, they're very, it's also an aparad. Even if you don't talk, even if you don't do, just by looking at these intent, it's an aparad. Now, when can we meditate on those? Or when can we see that or think about this? Only three places. If your intent is good and if you want to do good to that person, right? Then we can meditate and see how can I find solution? This Prabhuji is struggling. Can I do something? If your real intent is not from the false ego platform, then you can identify, try and take help of senior and trying to, help all of us trying to help that soul. Now we can meditate on that fall when we want to think that, oh, this fault should not come to any other devotee. When you want to ensure the entire world, you want to go and help all this, only then you can. So these are very strong points. Yeah, and the last reason you can meditate is if you think and if you reflect on that small fault, how I might get also this fault, and I should not, I should try and meditate to come out of these mistakes, something like that. If you think, yeah, I resonate with this, Prabhuji, I also get this problem, then you can meditate. Imagine, these are the only three reasons. Otherwise, you're not just supposed to talk about or think about or even for a moment slightly think about, oh, this person is like this. That also is not allowed. In fact, in a Sri Vaishnava philosophy, Sripad Ramanujacharya had very, very clearly had given us this. That is uh, Aparada, what is it? Vaishnava. Same. I mean, the same name is different. It's a Tamil name, but he has quoted about so much detail, about 12 places, reasons he's given. One is you can never say, oh, he had a low birth. He was born in this caste. How is he doing this Vaishnava? No. And some bodily defects. You know how we all are come with some defects, right? So we can never quote that. Second. Third, defects based on age. Are junior, so young, he's coming and talking Upanyasam for all the big people, or he's a senior, junior. All that can never be done. Then defects based on ashrama. Are he's from Brahmacharya or he's from Grahastha and he's coming and talking about Brahmacharya. Those kind of things are absolutely not to be quoted. Again, defects in it's on the same thing, which is like the second point which I mentioned, bodily, but this is very specific to, say, suppose you cannot, some person can't see, some person can't hear, very organ based problem. That is also can't be, never to be shown as a defect. Alasya, based on some habits, some some people have this strange habit. I mean, if they drink water, they make a sound, or when they eat, they make some small. It's a habit, right? It's a bit of being different from the other. In a way, I don't know whether I can use the word unclean. Maybe some people have a little different way of wearing dhota. It may not be the clean, crisp one. These are all, you can put it as practices, some shortcomings. That's all. That can never be seen as for a Vaishnava. And again, where is he? Where is he doing? Where is he Vasa? Where is he residing? This person is from Puri based. Oh, let's all pay obeisances. He's born from a normal city. No, you can never decide whether one person is in Puri or whether one person is in city. He could be in New York and he's probably the best devotee, right? Then the eighth one is based on relationship. He's just a family member. How can I treat him as a Vaishnava? No. The moment you have your family, everybody is following, which means you're all Vaishnavas. You cannot say they're all special living entities. You cannot say he's just my son or this one. We have to have that bhav in ourselves. Then last, Prakasha and Prakara Nirupam. That is, Prakasha Nirupam means he says, okay, I only will serve the important Maharajas are coming, Guru is coming, Prabhuji, I want service. Or if the next one, Prakara, is like, those gurus, Guru Maharajas, and or pujaris or Guru Maharaj servant, only when they come, I'm available, Prabhu, for service. Others, they are normal Vaishnavas. I can't. No, that's again another aparad. See, all these are very subtle. We have not even committed anything. We have not openly said anything. We have not chastised. We have not opened our mouth. But just a small incident, right? Based itself is then what this your profession. The 11th one is a profession. Oh, this person does this profession. He sells this. What is he? He's an auto driver. Our nursing Giridhari Mandir, one person comes from an auto, comes, sits down in the Vyasasthan, gives a wonderful Bhagavata class, and then goes back. Such amazing. Where else will you find this? You don't have to have a top birthi. I've seen Prabhuji come, remove the auto dress, come and sit down, and I've seen him do this service, wonderful service. Last dosha, right? Based on some incidences. Or something you find which is not in line with our understanding. Say, for example, Draupadi, how can she have 5 husbands? How can one Maharaj or one Acharya had some long, many children? These are, who are we to decide? What qualifications do we have? This is direct, aparad. Even to think, forget, again, I'm saying, even to share it with a devotee, thinking that this devotee is like that, it all come under aparad. So, Sripad Ramanujacharya was very clear. It given about 12 such important abhacharams. Okay. And then now, so like we've spoken so much about, offense and other things. It's 40. Just I'll end it up by giving three reasons why this happens to us. Why do we sometimes, knowing very well, commit to Vaishnava aparadh? One is sometimes it's a superiority complex. I am better than this person. Okay, you know what happened to Daksha? This is very important to hear that. Very quickly, I'll tell. Daksha, whatever he judged, even Shiva, right? He said, "Oh, it in his heart is not clean," and things like that. We know what happened later. He had to. He got a different head, and he did tapasya for 5 manvantaras, and took birth in the womb of who? And the Pracheta's wife, Barisha, and then uh, after all that, when he had darshan of the Lord, when he had to ask for a boon, what did he say? I want all my sons to be more progeny or increasing my progeny, right? Acharyas are saying that even after 5 manvantaras, due to the offense commented by against Shivji, he could not ask for higher things, right? Boons. Next, what happened when he got the sons? Even once with Narada Muni, I think Narada Muni first set of people he made them brahmacharis. The next 1,000 also he again, because of the association of Narada Muni. Then he got so angry that the same Daksha in this form that he gave sharp to even Narada Muni. Now, why did I say this small incident is because see the effect of offense committed to a Vaishnava, that is to Parama Vaishnava Shivji, that had after 5 manvantaras tapas also he could not get it over. Now, the second point is that, like I was saying, no, he doesn't fit into my lens, right? Meaning to say that, you know, looking at his nature, looking at the faults. I believe if you start looking at the nature of the, finding faults in his nature and behavior and things, we are directly finding fault with the Supreme Lord, right? This is the kind of effect. Lord is Bhavagrahi, right? And each one has got different nature. You don't have to think that, oh, I am preaching, everybody should preach in this group. I am cooking, everybody should do. What Rupa Goswami was given to write books, but whereas who distributed that? Srivas Acharya. Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai were along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were not asked to go to Vrindavan. Haridas Thakur was asked to chant the holy names and preach the holy name. Each and every devotee is some special talent. Guru and his disciples, they know how to make use of this talent, how to convert, how to take them in the service of the Lord, right? We should not try to force someone with their moods. Okay, and if they are having something better which you have, you cannot be enviousness, right? You cannot trade. Oh, if you are having envious, it's directly being envious to the Supreme Lord. That's why they say three things you should never be there. No? Enviousness on Bhakti, and Bhagavan. And the last one is our idea. If suppose we have an idea, wonderful idea, we want to give it to the team. Okay. And for some reason, the Vaishnavas did not take this into consideration. Okay. That also can, and if you think, oh, my idea is not taken, it can be very offensive. See, the Lord is very, I mean, why am I giving all this is the Lord is very, very strict in offenses, right? We all know. I'm sorry, Prabhuji, it's last 1 minute, I'm closing it. Sacimata was not spared. What happened? Sacimata, when said the first son is taken, the second son also became sannyasi. She kind of something told about Advaitacharya, right? I mean, why he took away both sons. Lord said, no, until you come and seek forgiveness from him, you will not. And we all know what happened, right? Took the Padaduli, and then only this entire thing was sorted out, right? So these are all we focused a little on aparad and why fencelessly we need to do our bhakti. Why I emphasize so much is the effects of, we need to first know what is going to happen to us. Now the solution is simple. Simply, it can be nullified by falling at the feet. In fact, if they are not satisfied by the sorry, you have to serve them for many days till the Vaishnav says, don't worry, it is not, it's all happens. You don't repeat the mistake again. We should feel of remorse. We should feel very bad that we have done this. And sometimes when that also is not possible, we should take shelter of Nama Sankirtan, right? We need to learn to see the Swarupa Lakshana of devotees. I keep saying the same. This is the best thing you can do. Anytime you introduce see a devotee, first, the moment you see him, think of what is the fantastic quality he's got. Or when you introduce him, don't introduce him as just Vara, Kripamayadas or Mathurapati Prabhu. Immediately think of what is a wonderful quality in them and share that to the devotee. That way, that devotee will also say, wow, this devotee is so good. Immediately they get inspired by that. Okay. Sorry, really, I've taken about 5-6 minutes beyond the time. I just thought these are some points which I should focus on today's discussion. Prabhuji, if I have really exceeded any of my realizations, please correct me. And I'm sure there are some more points in this verse you all can share it. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, पतित पावन गुरुदेव की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। हरि हरि बोल।